Welcome to the Ed Leaders Edge podcast, where we interview innovators and thought leaders in the field of education who are helping students thrive. I'm your host, Ed Madison. I'm a professor and researcher at the University of Oregon, an educational consultant, and serve as executive director of the Journalistic Learning Initiative, a nonprofit organization that empowers elementary, middle, and high school students to discover their voice, improve academic outcomes, and become self-directed learners through project-based storytelling. Welcome to our program. Well, welcome back to the podcast. Gennaro Piraino is superintendent of Franklin Regional School District in Marysville, Pennsylvania. He's also the president of the Pennsylvania Association of School Administrators. And in 2019, he was acknowledged as Pennsylvania's Superintendent of the Year. Welcome, Dr. Piraino. How are you?
I'm great, Ed. Thank you very much.
Good. We had a chance to talk about a week ago briefly, and a couple of topics came up, but specifically the way your district is kind of sort of zeroing in on CTE, or career and technical education. Can you talk about some of the things that you're doing and how you're approaching that?
So it's interesting. Over the last decade, we've seen a significant increase in the number of students who are attending our CTCs, and we've seen like around a 75% increase over the last 10 years. Where we're going now is really looking to make school more relevant for all kids, and for those kids that have an aptitude or an interest in a specific content that may have traditionally gone on to post-secondary education, we are looking to create advanced career academies. And right now we're working on this not only in Franklin Regional, but across Westmoreland County. So Franklin Regional, we're really working on developing 3 career academies, advanced career academies, one being in healthcare, for those who are interested in advanced healthcare occupations, like becoming physicians or nurses and so forth, as well as some other components. We're also looking at an advanced technology career academy. We're partnering, and all of these we're partnering with post-secondary. And so our local community college, as well as Carnegie Mellon in terms of the advanced technology, and St. Vincent College. Then our third one is business, entrepreneurship, and legal studies. And so between now and 2027, we hope to be launching these academies, and we're doing it in partnership with our CTCs. We'll house them here, and we'll also potentially host students from other school systems through the CTC. So the CTC will provide that main teacher, but we're also looking at our curriculum. And I'll give you an example. In healthcare, we might have bio for the healthcare students. So we are engaged in phenomena-based learning in our bio, where we take natural things of interest or in a student's environment, and they solve a real-world problem or study a real-world problem or something that exists in their environment as it pertains to the curriculum. We're looking at doing the same things around these various careers. We might have ethics for healthcare, ethics for technology and artificial intelligence, and we're really looking at transforming that junior and senior year. But all of it starts really back in our primary and intermediate school, where we've adopted the 5 C's, and we have designed our lessons around, obviously we still make sure our kids master the basic skills in reading and writing and mathematics and science, but we're looking at making sure that our kids have hands-on and minds-on in that problem-based learning, the project-based learning, where they're coming around and we're integrating creativity, critical thinking, collaboration, communication, and citizenship in what they do. And if you walked around our schools and talk to students and ask them what they were working on and where it applies to the 5 C's, they can generally tell you, how they're engaged, why it's important, and which of the 5 C's it pertains to.
Mm-hmm. Now, what if you have students who are interested in the arts or something that falls outside of those categories, where you have these academies that are emerging?
So the arts are actually part of what we do. And that whole creativity piece. So one of the things we have is every student at our elementary school, K to 5, and now we're starting at the middle school. But every student has creative and performing arts. The arts are integrated into some of the stream-based lessons, and every student has has music, in addition to our opportunities to study around chorus, band, and orchestra. And so our students are really engaged. We have in both schools, we have creativity centers at our elementary level with our primary students and our intermediate students, as well as the creative and performing arts centers. And so it's very much part of what we do at Franklin Regional, and we're proud of the arts and look to actually expand potentially into careers in those areas, because it really transfers pretty nicely from the technology piece, seeing that a lot of the arts relate back to technology.
Mm-hmm. That's fantastic. Tell me about the Carnegie Mellon partnership.
So what we're looking at is we're partnering with Carnegie Mellon's Supercomputing Center, and they're going to work with our teachers to provide professional development around the integration of technology, as everything from coding to artificial intelligence. They'll be there to support us along the way, providing instruction to our teachers, as well as opportunities for our students to engage with their faculty and their students as they study technology integration.
That's great. Let's talk about artificial intelligence for a while. What are you observing? What are your thoughts about it? What are you observing in terms of how students may or may not already be engaging with it, and what the promise or peril that it that is out there being discussed? Let's step away from our conversation for a moment for me to tell you about the Journalistic Learning Initiative's innovative educational tools and services. Of special note is JLI's Comfort Corner initiative, a video library featuring near-peer role models sharing about their mental health journeys. This innovative resource destigmatizes mental health challenges, provides a gateway to seeking professional help, and supports your students in realizing they're not alone. If you're looking to make the best decision for your teaching staff and students about AI adoption, improving student engagement, strengthening writing skills, promoting social media mindfulness, or enhancing college and career readiness, please take a moment to visit our website at journalisticlearning.org. Our team of University of Oregon researchers offer customized AI tools, instructional materials, professional development, and consulting. Research confirms that students with journalistic learning experience outperform their peers on numerous key indicators for college and career readiness. At the heart of our work is empowering learners to become effective communicators. If you think about it, effective communication is critical in every human interaction, whether it's writing an essay for a grade or being interviewed to secure employment. Since 2015, JLI has benefited nearly 20,000 students and served schools in 15 states and the District of Columbia. I invite you to schedule an appointment to explore how JLI can improve your students' learning outcomes. Now back to our program.
I think right away when we talk about artificial intelligence, we automatically think about ChatGPT and the generative AI piece. And as we look at students who will go out into the world, our focus isn't necessarily eliminating their access to AI, and there are people that would love to see that. It's really teaching them how to use it responsibly, ethically, and effectively. And a lot of that involves training and work with our teachers. So that way, when they go out in the world, if they go out in the world and they have no exposure to it and they're not efficient and effective with it, then they're at a disadvantage because the rest of the world is going to be using it. So our approach is to, through those 5 C's, teach them how to keep their original voice in work, how to produce original demonstrations or evidence of their learning, but yet using AI to enhance what they do and do it in a way that's responsible and ethical.
Mm-hmm. I think that, and I've been saying this in a couple of sessions, I think that we're going to find that AI is democratizing tutoring to the extent that, only really wealthy or affluent kids had the advantage of having, somebody to sit with them and on a one-on-one level and address their questions and concerns. But now, kids can get that more kind of individualized attention and instruction through AI tools. Yeah. Um, one of the things that comes up often, just on the heels of COVID, and now it's almost 2 years behind us, but just this concern of learning loss, and whether or not some of our kids are going to be, in a sense, stigmatized because there may be a false perception, but at least a perception on the part of employers that maybe, their schooling wasn't as rigorous as the kids that came before them. Is that something you're looking at or addressing, or?
No, I mean the level of rigorous. You know, we it, rigor is something we provide,
Mm-hmm.
and we provide it at the level that the child needs it at the time. And so when you look at differentiated instruction, and it's meeting kids where they are and designing lessons and instruction to where they need to be, and we're working all kids toward those individual goals. And so we have a really strong program, and so that meets the needs of various kids. Are there kids who may not reach their fullest potential? That's absolutely, they're all, every system has those students, but for the most part, we're really focused on that individualization of education.
Mm-hmm. Does that include sort of a more holistic look at assessment? I mean, for so long, high stakes tests have been kind of at the hallmark of how we looked at how kids were doing, but we're seeing a move more towards formative assessments and ways that sort of low stakes ways that kids can show, demonstrate that they're progressing.
Yeah, that's interesting because we've actually eliminated test preparation, standardized test preparation within our system, other than giving them the general format of the test, because we don't believe it truly measures the knowledge, skills, and dispositions that our students need to be successful in the future. And so we'd much rather invest in providing our students with what they need for their future success so that they can reach their hopes and dreams.
Mm-hmm. What are you seeing around mental health and just access to phones during the day, and you know any changes that you've made
So
as
right
we?
now, our focus. So right now, around the phones, our focus is to work with our staff on how to manage those phones, when to allow students to have them out in class and when not to, and that essentially our kids are going to go out into the world where they're going to have access to phones, and it's again teaching them how to use it responsibly. We probably have different demographics, being a suburban district, but for the most part, we work with our teachers on how to control the whole phone piece. Social media continues to be an issue everywhere. Mental health is something that we've worked hard here to make sure that we have systems in place to meet the various needs of our students, and to make sure that those services, we have partners that work with us in providing mental health services, but also it's dual focus and also on providing our students with resiliency skills, and to help them overcome adversity and various obstacles that they may be facing.
Mm-hmm. One thing I've been talking to superintendents about is just the general overall sort of public perception about public education, that has, that there's less confidence, and also a sense that schools aren't going, in the right direction. And obviously you have to look at schools on a case by case basis. But I'm just curious if you have any thoughts about how, as public educators, we can kind of tell our story better or influence that sort of negative knee jerk response to how schools are doing.
Well, it's interesting. I think there are so many success stories. I'll just use the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania as the president of PASA. I get to hear from my colleagues across the Commonwealth. I get to see the great work that is happening in their schools, how they are working with their students to do more now than our students have ever been able to do in terms of preparing them for their future. There are so many success stories in public education, and I think our basic state organizations across the country have been working to tell those individual stories, and I think that the collective data shows that effectiveness. But I also think we're in a situation where there's so much focus on standardized tests. And I believe that standardized tests help to tell two stories from two different perspectives. And low performance on standardized tests, one helps make justification for increasing funding. On the other side of that, I also think that standardized test scores also tell a story that allows to those proponents for school choice to make that argument as well. So I see this system that's broken, and both sides of the spectrum manipulating the data for their own intents and purposes. And so I really think that school assessment and how we hold schools accountable really needs to become part of that conversation, and really find ways to develop accountability systems that truly measure what our kids have to know, understand, and be able to do in the future. And there are different measures and different measuring tools to make that happen. That benefits-based accountability, and those local assessment systems are really critical to helping us tell that story about the great things that are happening. And I also say there's a difference between data and evidence, and I think that that evidence piece. If you talk to the average person, you look at the data, the average person thinks that their system's doing great. However, it's all the other systems that are failing. And so I find that to be interesting as I hear that.
Yeah, and you mentioned somewhat the charter movement and vouchers. I mean, in some of our urban areas, we're seeing the sort of reduction in enrollments in the traditional public schools to the degree that it's adversely impacting their ability to actually provide a service for the students. And we still have a rule that all students are entitled to
right.
An education. So it's sort of a challenging dilemma, that perhaps maybe in your community you're not so faced with, but something to address. Yeah,
totally.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you, sir. Please let people know where they can find you, either on LinkedIn or your district on the web.
Absolutely. You can look me up on LinkedIn. If you search Gennaro Piraino, I'm there. And if you want to find our district, it's Franklin Regional School District. And if you want to email me, it's GENNARO. It's Gpiraino, GPIRAINO, at franklinregional.k12.pa.us.
Terrific.
And if you get onto our website, my email is right there.
Terrific. Thank you.
Thank you.
The Ed Leader's Edge podcast is produced by the Journalistic Learning Initiative. Please check out our latest books, Language Arts in Action from W.W. Norton Publishing, and Raising Empowered Learners from Rauman and Littlefield. For more information about our work, please visit journalisticlearning.org or edleaderedge.org. Thanks for listening.